presented to all ingenious ladies and gentlewomen.
This is the kind of damage a single speck of dirt can do. Every year, 60 tons of dirt fall on 1 square mile in this place. Of course, if you're lucky enough to live in a place like this, you get a fall of only 6 tons a year. 6 tons, and these grounds lie over 4 miles from the nearest town. To give you an idea how much this is, these men will unload 6 tons of coke. Almost 100 sacks of coke, 100 sacks of dirt carried on the air. But airborne dirt is only part of the total grime in a house. When a house is lived in, when it's a home, then dirt is spread around quite naturally in many ways.
That's a lovely idea.
Woman throughout the ages is a victim in our story. Grease, grime and grit and dust are the villains. But what is dirt?
That's a question I can answer. It's in laboratories like this one that criminals are traced by the analysis of small particles of dirt trampled into a carpet or deposited in the turn-ups of their trousers or even lodged in their fingernails. So we should be competent to examine the contents of an ordinary domestic sweeper. A great deal of domestic dirt is easy to see and to recognize. We need only a fairly small magnification. Human hair clotted with grease, carpet fluff, cat's hair, crumbs from cake or biscuit. Now let's look a little more closely. Ordinary garden soil, tobacco ash, animal dirt probably carried in on shoes, chalky grit from a quarry nearby, soot and industrial grit. And not an unusual collection for an ordinary house. Now have a really close look at this dirt and see for yourself why it's so harmful. This is what women have been fighting since history began.
At first, we used only our hands. Later, in medieval England, the main need was to be strong and self-supporting in case of attack. There was little time for luxury.
Item. Have your windows shut full tight with oiled or other cloth, or with parchment or something else, so tightly that no fly may enter, and let the flies that be within be slain with the whisk or otherwise.
Only a century later, accumulated wealth and a gentler spirit were turning castles into manor houses. In rich houses, windows were glazed. Comfort and a higher standard of living were demanded by the owners.
Now it behoveth me to speak of setting your folk and your servants to work, at times meet for work, and of giving them rest likewise at due times. First, bid the chambermaids very early to sweep out and clean the entrances to your house, to wit, the hall, and other places whereby people enter and stay to speak in the house, and let them dust and shake out the covers and cushions which be on the benches. And afterwards, let the other rooms be likewise cleaned and tidied for the day, and so daily, as beseemeth our estate.
Recipes and instructions were passed down from mother to daughter, and even sometimes from an old husband to a young wife.
Now watch you well, dear sister, that after your husband, you should be mistress of the house, the giver of orders, visitor, ruler, and sovereign administrator. It is for you to keep your maidservants in subjection and obedience to you, teaching, correcting, and chastising them. Wherefore, forbid them all excess and gluttony of life. Have a care that in winter your husband has a good fire and smokeless, and let him rest well.
The hearth was the heart and centre of the medieval manor. Its smoke rose into the throat and lungs of the household and into the vast vaulted timbers of the roof. But as the Plantagenet kings gave way to the Tudors, great chimneys were built to channel away smoke from vast fireplaces. These were now set in the wall and became essential as coal with its sulphurous fumes was used increasingly.
Now have we many chimneys, and yet our underlings complain of rooms, catarrhs, and poses. Then our heads did never ache. For as the smoke of those days was supposed to be a sufficient hardening of the timber of the houses, so it was reputed to be a far better medicine to keep the good man and his family.
The reign of Queen Elizabeth brought great splendour to the country. Houses were built on a grand scale. New cloths were imported, new metals and new ideas of beauty.
Directions for housemaids in great houses. 1. Your principal office is to make clean the greatest part of the house and to see that you suffer no room to lie foul. 2. That you may look well to all the stuff as hangings, chairs, stools, etc., and see that they be often brushed and the beds frequently turned.
Wooden dishes and spoons were changing into pewter, silver and tin. This produced new problems for the housewife, as the damp fogs of England and the fumes from coal tarnished them.
For your plates, if they are well washed every meal with water and bran, then well rinsed in fair water, and so set one by one before the fire as they may dry quick, I am confident they will dry without spots, for I never knew any sauce stain so, except it be pickled rabbits which stand up on the plate a while. There is no better thing to wash the face with, to keep it smooth and to scour it clean, than to wash it every night with brandy, wherein you have steeped a little flour of brimstone, and the next day wipe it only with a cloth.
The Elizabethan housewife and her Jacobean daughter kept a shrewd account of their laundry on tallies. 8 sheets, 3 shirts, 4 petticoats. Instructions for removing ink stains in the 17th century.
Lay it all night in urine, and the next day rub all the spots in the urine as if you were washing in water.
Soap by now was quite common, though still limited in its use. It was made by boiling animal fat, soda, and wood ash together. Later, it could be mixed with sand for scrubbing floors, or scents for the face, and even used sometimes for washing clothes. Soap and the new detergents were discoveries that greatly helped to make housework easier. Today, they're essential parts of our lives, but few of us know how they work and why water alone isn't just as effective.
Surprisingly enough, water by itself isn't very good at wetting materials. It tends to collect in round drops on the surface. Detergent makes water much wetter. It helps it to spread and to penetrate. Amongst the most stubborn stains are those caused by grease. Water has hardly any effect on this smear of dyed grease, but detergent helps to break the grease up into little drops. Watch the tiny globules of grease collecting on the surface of the water. We can see how the grease is dispersed and carried away from the fabric. But all this is useless if dirt can find its way back into the fabric. The left-hand beaker holds water only, the other a solution of detergent. Detergent keeps dirt in suspension.
That means that the dirt particles drawn out of the clothes are held captive by the detergent, and so are evenly distributed in the water. When the water is poured away, all the dirt goes with it, without leaving a scum on the clothes or in the basin.
For cleaning with detergent, agitation is essential.
Women have been aware of this for a long time, without knowing why it should be so. The piggy stick was one of the simplest ways of washing clothes with agitation. Rub-a-dub-dub. It was hard work, and it could cripple a woman's back if she did it too often. The beginning of the 20th century heralded the age of electricity. This was 1910. We must return to an earlier century when electricity was still a miracle of the future. The 18th century was an age of peace, of elegance, wealth and leisure for some people.
As you may always discover a good workman by the handling of his tools, so may you a good servant by the way she goes to work. There is a right method and a wrong one, and one is as easy to be acquired as the other. The indulgence of mistresses has introduced the use of mops and long-handled scrubbing brushes, but the floors are never thoroughly cleaned by such utensils. A cleanly girl and industrious housemaid will never spare her labor, but scour the floors as she does the stairs upon her knees. When carrying up water and coals or bringing down dirty water or ashes, she should take care not to spill any on the stairs. When you've been out and dirtied your shoes, take care to scrape them well at the door and put on clean ones before you presume to ascend the stairs. I have known girls fearful of exposing their ragged heels or not appearing genteel, draggle their tails and sweep the stairs with them. What do such draggle-tailed wenches deserve?
The rooms were richly decorated with marble, with elaborate paintings set in gold leaf, with fantastic wallpapers in soft muted colours, now all the fashion, and with rich brocades and silks from the looms of France, China and India.
If the bed is fixed, she is to sweep under it and mop it with a wettish mop, this being the best preservative against fleas. Bugs are effectively destroyed by sweet oil. This done, the bed should be opened in order to be aired. If the blankets be troubled with fleas, they should be looked for and killed. If she require the assistance of a fellow servant, I presume it is unnecessary to say it should not be that of a manservant. A buxom wench has been known to ask a favourite footman to assist her with dire consequences to herself. In sweeping the room, don't whisk your broom. This will raise the dust and you will soon be in a cloud. Some maids, in sweeping their mistress's room, will, sweating in hot weather whilst shaking the bed, wipe their faces on the sheets. This is as bad as making use of their master's razors to cut their corns, or combing their heads with their ladies' combs.
Yes, the age of elegance had arrived. Adam and Hepplewhite, Chippendale and Sheraton, these and others were names that evoked the beauty of the age, the skill of craftsmen combined with the elegance of new woods.
A little paste compounded of beeswax and turpentine might be used, but arm oil or elbow grease, applied with a piece of wash leather, are considered greatly superior. Occasionally, a little warm beer might be rubbed in and carefully dried off again.
Beer was considered excellent for the doors, too, to say nothing of the men.
As one of a footman's best accomplishments is waiting well at table, the following are the rules he is to attend to. Don't press down the salt in the salt cellars in order to make it look smooth. Your fingers may not be as clean as they ought to be. No servant who waits at table should eat any onions, garlic, etc. that will make his breath offensive. If he be ordered to break the claw of a lobster, he will not crack it between the hinges of the dining room door, but will take it into the kitchen. He will not dip his fingers in the sauce of any dish he is carrying to table, nor eat any part of it. In washing the passage or any of the rooms towards the street, never throw any water out at the street door. In winter time it will freeze, endangering the limbs of passengers and incur the penalty of the law.
Cleanliness was hardly a strong point at this time.
Plague, cholera, dysentery. These are only some of the diseases carried from filth to the victim. These are only some of the carriers. Most men would be horrified to know that even today they carry the germs of gas gangrene and tetanus in the turn-ups of their trousers. And what about the live world that lives in a dirty carpet or the upholstery of a chair? Well, we all know about moths and the damage they do to fabrics.
Carpets had to be cleaned to preserve them. But how?
Carpets should not be swept with a whisk brush more than once a week. At other times, sprinkle tea leaves on them and sweep carefully with a hair broom, after which they should be gently brushed on the knees with a clothes brush.
very dirty, a solution of soap must be put into a tub with hot water and the carpet well beaten in it. Rinse it in several waters and put in the last water a tablespoonful of oil of vitriol to brighten the colours.
When dry, most of the colours will be restored in a short time, and those that are yet too faint must be touched up with a pencil dipped in suitable colours. It may be run all over in the same manner with watercolours mixed well with gum water, and it will look at a distance like new.
It seems incredible that any carpet survived the scrubbings and the beatings, but in fact until very recently, hard, coarse brushes were commonly used to remove dirt from the carpet.
On a smooth surface, such as stone or wood, dirt can be removed reasonably efficiently with a brush. But on a carpet, it can force some of the smaller particles down into the pile. Much better is a rotary brushing action, which sweeps the dirt upward into a container. Alternatively, of course, the dirt can be sucked away. Carpets are soiled mainly by deposits of dirt from pedestrian traffic.
Evie, Ivy, oh.
The dirt accumulates and is held on the carpet either by the adhesive action of oily and sticky deposits or by electrostatic attraction. Usually both these processes are involved. The bonds of soil must first be loosened from the fibres and then removed. A detergent loosens the dirt from the fibre, and if the detergent can dry out to a crystalline solid and not to a sticky deposit, then the dirt trapped in the dry powder can be removed easily without rinsing.
The Industrial Revolution changed the problem. Airborne dirt from the chimneys of the new factories and of the middle-class homes became a serious menace. This was the age of expansion, the age of comfort. That meant fires in every room. The parlour, the library, the dining room, the master's room, the mistress's room, the nursery, the other bedrooms, and, of course, the coal cellar was always in the basement.
The housemaid, in a regular family, will find it necessary to rise about 5 o'clock, and her first business will be to open the shutters of the normal family sitting rooms, as the breakfast room and library. She clears away all superfluous articles that may have been left there and prepares for cleaning the stoves, fireplaces and hearths by rolling up the hearth rugs and carefully carrying them out to be shaken. In removing and dusting the ornaments on a chimney piece, she will be cautious while she's doing a little good not to do a great deal of harm. Nor will she presume to do anything but blow off the dust lightly with the bellows or with her breath.
That will be deducted from her tiny wage. And what of the work below stairs? The great Mrs. Beeton had a great deal to say about that.
Advice to cooks and kitchen maids. Cleanliness is the most essential ingredient in the art of cooking, a dirty kitchen being a disgrace both to mistress and maid. Clean your coppers with turpentine and fine brick dust rubbed on with flannel. A mixture that will yield a very superior polishing paste for boots and shoes. Mix 1 ounce each of pounded galls and logwood chips and 3 pounds of red French wine, ordinaire. Boil together till the liquid is reduced to half the quantity and put through a strainer. Now, take half a pound each of pounded gum arabic and lump sugar, 1 ounce of green copperas, and 3 pounds of brandy.
There was still the laundry to do.
A black silk dress, when very old and rusty. A pint of gin or whisky should be mixed with each gallon of water. Mix well together 2 ounces of fuller's earth, 1 ounce of hen's dung, half an ounce of cake soap scraped, and the juice of 2 large onions. To restore scorched linens.
The kitchen. It must be remembered that it is the great laboratory of every household, and that much of the weal or woe as regards bodily health depends upon the nature of the preparations concocted within its walls.
There is no army of women now to cook, clean and launder, to be nursemaid and nanny. The housewife does everything by herself, with the aid of what must seem like magic to the women of the past, the not-so-romantic past. Even when technology came to the aid of housework in the great domestic reign of Victoria, cleaning was a labour, a manual achievement. Today, new techniques and new materials have produced simpler and more efficient tools. The future is still uncertain. Whatever the trends may be, they will mean less hard work and more time for leisure, for children, for other interests. Mrs. Beeton's advice to the housewife is as relevant today as it was 100 years ago.
She ought always to remember that she is the first and the last, the alpha and the omega in the government of her establishment, and that it is by her conduct that its whole internal policy is regulated. She is, therefore, a person of more importance in a community than she usually thinks she is.
I'm going to say that a woman's work is never done.